Welcome once again to Hunters Entertainment on Twitch.tv. My name is Noxweiler Burf, and I am your game master and guide through the intense and dark world of Outbreak Undead. This campaign is known as Rag and Bone. It has been named such due to the players and their task to continuously deliver goods and services to all of the wayward communities that exist within the remains of what once was the United States. Using a network of railway lines that have been abandoned over the many years since the world ended, they travel, hoping to find some small amount of light in a dark world that seeks to destroy them. The dead far outnumber them, and they are restless, eternally walking now, infected by a virus that struck quickly and destroyed much of the world. And while the world ended on May 29th, 1995, this is the story of what happened afterwards. I'm surrounded by three of our players. You will notice that we have banished Luis Carrazzo. He will return to us, and we look forward to that return. But as Lampwick is in a precarious situation, we thought that it might be more appropriate to offer the players a challenge to see if they are able to save one of their own, to see if that individual is even worth their effort. If you've been following our sessions, you know that each of the characters that are portrayed here are not gallant heroes plucked from fairy tale stories. They are real in a way that this world requires. Each of them has made mistakes. One of them isn't what they seem. And tonight, we will continue to explore their world, the choices that they continue to make. And we will discover if, in fact, Lampwick is able to continue on with us. I'll allow each of them to introduce themselves and the character that they'll be playing. Before we begin that, though, I would like to remind everyone that this Friday night we will begin a two-part season finale for Hunter's Gathering. We will be remembering all of the sessions and the games that have happened since we have started this journey, not just here on Rag and Bone, but across the Hunter's Entertainment channel. We entreat you to join us. You will also notice that below in the panels, we have an offering for you. All of our moderators will clearly tell you how to interact with it, but we have worked with a company known as Foreteller to create the Scry program. This application allows you to log the time that you spend here watching Hunter's Entertainment. And as you gather time resources, you are able to spend them in a way that would greatly aid the players within this game. You will have a number of choices. Some of them may seem less important than others, but I entreat you to think carefully. The decisions that you make in the audience will greatly affect this story. The resources that each of these communities have at their disposal, or perhaps the players have in a moment of discovery, will be determined by the choices that you make. Alex Hillman is in the chat and will guide you along that path. I would also like to thank JB Jara for his stalwart technical direction. We couldn't do it without either of these individuals, and while you are not seeing them, I promise you, they are a part of this team. But enough of that. Let us introduce our characters and players. Welcome back, May. Would you tell everyone who you'll be playing?
Hi, I'm Melee Damage, and I will be playing Rowan.
And Rowan is your second character. Your first, Sister Abigail, met with an untimely demise. I'm so sorry that you weren't here to witness the horror that occurred last week. That session brought Abigail back to us, in a very specific way. I look forward to exploring that further tonight. Markia, please tell us a little bit about yourself and the character you'll be playing.
The character that I'm playing is Chira Sampson. At the end of the last session, she'd made a choice to basically stick her neck out for another member of the squad and ended up getting knocked unconscious for it. So there's who knows what's going to happen with that. And as for me, yes, Nox has already said about Hunter's Gathering. Very, very excited for the 2-part finale series that we're going to have both with the cast this Friday and then the following Friday with production teams and behind the scenes with Hunter's Entertainment. And if you love podcasts and you're looking for something to listen to over the holiday season, then you might as well listen to like a horror podcast. I have Something Scary, which is fan adapted horror stories. And you can also see animated horror episodes that we put on youtube.com/snarled. And you can also listen to the Shadow Diaries. That season is starting to wrap up, and we'll actually find out what's going to happen to this pop culture star that lives in a world of demons.
Excellent. I'm sure that it will be easy to offer everyone some holiday fare given the specific horror that you offer them. Thank you, Markia, for being with us. Michelle, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your character tonight?
Sure. Hello, I'm Michelle. I'm playing Juniper Song. Juniper basically is pretty much this part of the cause of the Xander/Blockbuster's death last week. We're on the mine, and May's former character, Abigail, came after me, and this is not a good time. So I'm still in the mine with some kids, and it's very scary down there. As for me, you can find me on the internet at I Am Chubby Buddy. I have a show that comes out every Friday about video games. They're deep dive video game essays, and they're pretty fun. I also am going to be streaming tomorrow with Paizo on official Paizo's Twitch channel. And yeah, I think I'll be playing Cyberpunk this week. That's my life now.
Thank you again for being with us. I would entreat all of you to please pay attention to both the chat and the credits when they roll, as you can find out directly how to interact with all of these amazing players as they are doing some amazing things across the internet. And I highly recommend that you find them and follow them, whether it be on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever social media you use. Now then, we do have some further business to discuss. Each week, we challenge you to help us to grow our reach in the community here at Hunters Entertainment. And in way of reward, we offer the players additional competency points should we reach our goals. The goals are quite simple. We are seeking to add 100 followers or 15 subscriptions each and every week. And if we reach that goal, we will additionally add a competency point to the pool that the players can use during these very trying and intense sessions. It has been the difference between life and death. As I can promise you, Lampwick would not have continued on his journey after last session had it not been for the amount of competency that was made available. Sadly, our special guest, Xander, was forced to say goodbye to Blockbuster, his character, as the fates were not aligned. And due to a few missteps, he has found himself quite dead. This week, I will not be rewarding any additional competency. We did not reach our goal, which means that all players within this session tonight will have a total of 3 competency points until and unless a specific situation or rule allows them to gain additional competency. So I would entreat all of you to use them very carefully. We have so much to explore tonight. I don't want to waste any more time. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. Fire illuminates the night sky. You are exhausted. Your muscles ache. The journey here has been tiring, and when you arrived, Rowan, the first thing that you were greeted with was the largest horde that you had come across in easily 5 years. This small farming community, known as Grey Ridge, has overstated their security. They have overstepped their ability to protect themselves, and now they are not only going to cost you and your companions ammunition and time, perhaps lives, they're going to cost themselves the function of this community as you are watching the walls that have been erected around this small gray farmhouse on a hill groan inward as the dead continue to surge forward like water crashing upon a shore. The cigarillo that you have rolled is mostly marijuana. It does have some tobacco that you have managed to salvage inside of it, but the leaf is pungent and the air is thick with it as it works its way around the side of your mouth. At your side is a number of very well-maintained weapons. Since your time in the service, you've really never stopped your true calling, the duty that you have been brought in to do, that which the United States government, before it collapsed, entrusted you with. Return order. Now, there is no government to speak of, no remains, but you have survived. And through it all, you've made choices. You've done things that have brought you here. The community that you are currently a part of has resources, plenty of them. However, there are things that one solitary community cannot do on their own. They always require the assistance and support of outsiders. You find it tiresome, and those within your community echo that statement. However, Dr. Maria Espinosa is a doctor, a skilled one. In the world before, she was a pediatrician, but she's turned her skills towards the much needed creation of antibiotics and other medicines that, frankly, in these dark days after the fall, are too hard to find in the wild. Manufacturing for years now has been the goal, and finding individuals that can create such medicine is a rarity, even those who are self-taught. Typically, it's left to those who are older, those who have experience within the world that was. And yet, despite the handful of survivors that you've run across, each year it becomes more and more rare to find anyone with previous medical training, anyone with a doctorate, or even basic first aid that they have learned from someone who was trained in the time before the fall. Books have been gathered, and there are those amongst your community that have managed to begin to teach themselves the basics, and certainly stitching up a wound is easy enough. Performing an appendectomy, not so much. You've lost plenty to infection. You've watched allies fall to an abscessed tooth. A cut or a scrape, if not properly maintained, can spell the end of someone. This is not a comfortable world that you live in. And as you watch these walls groan under the weight of this tide of the dead, the Romeros continue to come. swarming from a number of directions. And then you begin to spot it. And that's when you swallow hard. Amongst this tide of walking corpses, figures begin to move more quickly. Jerking motions begin to erupt from the slow, ponderous crawl of this mass of walking dead. They leap forward. There are strange intakes of shrieking hisses. And the tide begins to move more irregularly. You're not certain what is happening. You've never seen this before, but as gunfire erupts from your community, you realize that you've missed the call. The small battery-operated radio that you carry at your side blazes to life.
Rowan, get off it! We've got to go! Let's go! Let's go!
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm just seeing some really weird shit out here. Not familiar with that, but I'll be right on the way.
Get your ass in gear, we do not have time!
And sprays of gunfire erupt as you see the vehicles that have been brought to bear upon this situation spark their lights and begin firing upon the masses, trying to draw them out. And to a certain extent, some of this horde does begin to break away, turning themselves towards the gunfire. Strangely, not all do. And to your horror, the walls collapse. Countless hours later, after fighting yourself into the middle of this encampment to the settlement, watching the fires burn after that explosion rocked the air, watching trees in the horizon line burn, and seeing the sheer rocky cliff that embraces this community on two sides, you found yourself, along with Philippe Atlin, one of your companions, and another number of your group, fighting for their lives in the middle, in the thick of this, which is exactly where you are most comfortable. The gunfire erupts and you run across a number of other survivors. You immediately peg them as outsiders to the Grey Ridge community. That is where you met the acquaintance of Achira Sampson and Lampwick. They had the doctor. That is your target. She comes out even if everything else burns, whether she wants to or not. And yet, given the amount of arms and individuals around her, the orders have come through, and you are to stay with them and to give them free rein until the situation presents itself to extract the doctor. However, your ally Sharky has appeared. Sharky driving an enormous patchwork Sherman tank has run over the remains of one of the walls and has begun opening fire on the large masses that still circulate within this community. Again, you are exhausted, covered with old sweat and mud and the blood of a dozen of these shambling Romeros. And after having found your target, you found something else. Two of your number were crushed under the weight of a massive figure that appeared out of this horde. Unmolested by the dead, this lumbering figure stepped forward, standing at over 8 feet tall and muscled in ways that made very little sense from a biological standpoint. Wearing ragged garb and bearing a jagged, stitched together burlap sack over his face. wielding an enormous axe. 2 of your number died. You and Philippe managed to escape thanks to a very well-placed shot from the one that you've come to know as Achira. All things considered, she might have saved your life. The lumbering figure dropped to the ground, and the tide of the dead continued. As the farmhouse burnt, you pushed yourself forward, losing track of both Achira and Lampwick and the doctor. You spotted the doctor finally, but it was nearly too late. She and Achira have made their way into a mine shaft, unlocking the large steel door that has been erected in the front of this structure that stands on the outside of the jagged, rocky cliffs that stand now before you. And then you heard the shouts. Help! Help me! Help! Lampwick. You and Philippe push your advantage forward, clearing the dead as best you can, though supplies and ammunition are beginning to run low. In a split moment of decision, you come to realize that Lampwick may still have some usefulness, either as a pawn or as a prisoner. You and Philippe press forward and find Lampwick on the ground, surrounded by the dead, clearing them out just in time to pick him up off the ground, trying to cut his own fingers off of his left hand. He passes out. Philippe shoulders the weight. You turn just in time to see the steel door of that mine shaft slam shut. You've been locked out. Inside, in the darkness, Achira's body hits the ground. The doctor, with a 2x4, stands over her. Deeper in that mine, further away, underground, Juniper runs, panting, covered in the blood of a stranger, remembering the voice of the individual who she never really met. A strange man who, using nunchucks, tried to save her life, perhaps saved her life, but paid a very heavy price. As you run, Juniper, out of breath and pushing forward, stumbling across the jagged, dark floor without a light, hoping against hope to find your way forward. You see an open corridor ahead of you, and the twins that you saved from the house before it burnt. You remember seeing him, that thing that used to be Abigail, standing over him. Her ragged, bloody mouth, her dead, fully blackened eyes, unreal, pale, bloodless skin, and those words. And all you keep thinking is, the dead don't speak. The dead don't speak. The dead. But you remember her words. Come with me, my child. Come to me. Her open embrace. Her jagged stance. Achira, you wake. Your head is pounding and your stomach feels as if it has become a hollow drum, churning over on itself. You feel a roiling hunger within yourself, but a weakness, a feebleness, and you are covered in sweat. You know you are dehydrated. And you look around the shipping container at all of the boxes that you have torn open, hoping to find some sustenance, some amount of supply, something to give you hope and life. There is nothing. Medical supplies, but nothing to eat. Liquid, rubbing alcohol, but nothing to drink. There are bandages and an entire hospital's worth of small syringes and vials. You don't know what any of them are. You don't know how long it's been any longer. You can't see the light. You don't know if it's day or night. The container shook, and it shook for what felt like an entire day, but you heard muted voices, and you tried to shout, you tried to pound on the side of this metal container, but they didn't hear you. Or if they did, they've decided to let you die. Tell me, Achira, as the world ended, you found yourself within this shipping container in 1995. You were hiding from the military that were just outside of the city. You snuck your way here and thought you were safe to hide, but you didn't expect them to shut the door, to lock it, and then to take it wherever they've taken you. What do you do?
Achira would have 2 of the syringes that she would carry on her as a type of weapon for if or when she gets out of here, so she wouldn't be unarmed. Of the medical supplies, is there, I don't know, is there saline, for instance?
You've searched this container. You found no saline.
I think what she would do then, if whatever, okay, yeah, she would collect a bunch of the rubbing alcohol and start trying to pour it through the crack of the door of the shipping container, like, because it's liquid. And when she's got enough that's around that, the door, she would light that on fire.
This reminds me of another time in the future. Far, far in the future, where Achira has made similar decisions. Perhaps this is where it went correctly, where she learned that this was a viable way to catch someone's attention, to protect yourself. Let's see how that works out. You pour all of this alcohol down into the cracks that lead to the outside of this very level shipping container. An advantage that you seem to have is the fact that you are on a very flat surface. Also, while there is wood at the bottom of the shipping container, you know that there's steel underneath because you tried to pry through it and have only found more of that corrugated steel. However, you do know that this wood will burn. And you pour the 90 proof alcohol down in entire gallons, dumping it there. Do you light it on fire, Achira?
Yep.
It burns. It sparks at first. What do you use to light it?
Lighter or just
You have a
match?
lighter? Okay. So you pull your lighter out and spark the alcohol, which immediately starts to blaze with a blue flame that kind of works its way across the interior of the shipping container. And as it begins to burn, the container fills with smoke. And you know that it must be burning outside of the container because you hear voices and shouting. Quick! Over here! Fire! Sergeant, fire! You hear more boots outside the doorway. You begin hacking as the smoke fills the space. You are exhausted. I need you to make an endurance check for me, please. And I'm going to give you 3 degrees of difficulty, as you have been working to try to sustain yourself here. As you begin hacking and coughing in your weakened state, Achira.
Oh, I haven't claimed this location as anything before yet in the flashback.
Are you asking me if
say-
this is an...
Is this a location hazard?
Yes. I will give you this as a location hazard, which means that you have 4 additional competency points.
I
There were
believe
3.
3. Let me check really quick.
I
I
think
have
it's 3.
acumen level 3.
Now that I mention it, yeah. So you have 3 additional competency points that you may spend, Achira. However, how many of those new competency points, along with your regular competency points, do you wish to spend to mitigate 5 degrees of failure?
Damn. I'm really glad that I have those. I don't want to spend all 3. I'll spend 2.
To prevent it from being a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
Very well. Achira, you spend your competency points, which is going to reduce this to 3 degrees of failure, which means that hacking and coughing, you drop to your hands and knees, but do not pass out. Through some shred of determination, you manage to keep yourself conscious, to keep yourself awake, and to focus on the door, which continues to burn in front of you. The fire is working its way backwards on the wood flooring of this container, and you realize that if they do not open it, you are in grave danger. But at this point, you can only assume that it's been more than 2 weeks. You are dying. You have no other choice. You hear water, and then you smell the smoke as it builds up even more strongly than it had. A hose has sprayed across the side of the container, and the doorway is opened forcefully, and you hear someone, it's hot! The doors open, and you see a number of individuals dressed in full military fatigues. How familiar with the military is Achira?
I don't think she'd be very familiar with it, apart from like 90s TV shows. And that would be like what? MASH? Was that MASH?
They wear beige camo. They have helmets and knee pads, and they are carrying automatic rifles. Most of them have those rifles slung to their side, but they are in bulletproof vests. And they seem to be ready for war, not operating in any sort of relaxed capacity. The doors open, and initially, due to the smoke, it doesn't seem as if they spot you. You hear the two individuals that you can see, talking to one another. Damn it, Skip. What the fuck happened? If the captain finds out about this, it's our ass. I don't know. Look, I was out here and I saw fire. I called you over. We put it out. The shit happens, but I don't know. What was in this container? Anything. I mean, it could have been anything like the other 15 that are out here. Your job is to keep this absolutely together. You got it? Yeah, I got it. Let's clean this up. You continue to cough, and both of them stop. Now, I will allow you to try to mitigate that cough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, while they're distracted, I would do my best to stealth out of there. Confusion, smoke.
The first thing that I need you to do is to make a composure check with 3 degrees of difficulty.
Okay.
And I do apologize, but you are half starved. If anything is going to happen here that is going to allow you to slip away without being seen, it is going to be fairly miraculous. That is fairly miraculous in and of itself. It's only 1 degree of failure.
Even if I spend a competency point, it's still going to be a failure, so I'll just take it.
You are coughing, and the 2 individuals in front of you seem to stiffen. You see them raise their rifles and become quiet. Whoever's in there, just come out with your hands up. We're not here to just come out. We know you're in there. The other voice. We will fire.
Achira goes, all right, yeah, I'm coming out. You have any food? You've got a protein bar on you?
Come out, thief. And both of them back up as you begin walking forward through the smoke. As you step out of the shipping container, Achira, what you see terrifies you and brings you some amount of hope. You are in a fenced-in area with winding twirls of razor wire. There are a number of these sea containers that are stacked upon each other that line out what seems to be a parking lot of some sort. And then you see a flat, small, very beige building with a number of flags flying in front of it. The first flag that you see is the Stars and Stripes of the United States. You see a flag, the state flag of Ohio. And you also see a United States Marine Corps flag. There are a number of Jeeps that are parked along this building, and you see soldiers moving back and forth on some form of patrol. In the distance, you do hear faint gunfire. The 2 individuals that have their weapons trained upon you look to each other. The first nods to the other. These are young men, not much older than you, perhaps.
Yeah, it sure would be around 13, 14 in 1995.
They are most likely 18, 19, perhaps 20. Older than you, then for certain, but they see you. They see that you are younger than them. What do you say?
Thank God for the military. I got separated from my brother, and his advice was always, you can trust the military. And somehow I got locked in that shipping container, and I've been in there for forever. I just need some food and water.
Make a persuade check.
Maybe this would be the one persuade check that goes well for her. Is it still 3 difficulty dice?
It's not a physical task. In fact, I will give you no difficulty dice because you are desperate. You look half-starved. It's working in your favor. You're supporting your lie.
Ooh.
3 degrees of success. Congratulations. Achira, they both look at each other. Skip, call it in. Let the captain know that we've got an outsider, a civilian. Figure out what he wants us to do. Copy that. The other individual walks away, and you can see him talking into a radio, Achira. The gun is still trained on you. The other individual just looks at you. Reaches down slowly into a pouch without removing the gun's barrel, without lowering it in any way. Reaches into a pouch and throws you a candy bar. Go ahead.
She inhales it.
He then takes a canteen from a Jeep, stepping still, gun pointed at you. Don't move. Takes a canteen from a Jeep, walks over to you, and drops it in front of you. You nearly pass out. As the candy bar enters into your stomach, it nearly violently escapes. But you manage to hold it down. You gulp the water desperately, and he wisely tells you to slow down. You don't want to do that. If you've not had any water in a while, you're going to want to take your time with that. It's not going anywhere. What's your name?
Achira.
All right. Look, the captain will figure out what to do with you. Sometime later, Achira, you are ushered into that flat building, that horribly beige flat building in front of you. There are other soldiers here, and looking out into the distance of wherever you are, you realize that there are fires in the horizon. Smoke fills the air, and the sound of distant gunfire never goes away. You don't know what is happening, but you certainly know that outside of these fenced areas here, within this specific military compound, there is no safety to be found. You're brought into a very perfunctory-looking office that is sparsely decorated. There is a series of triangular folded American flags hung on a wall, a cinder block wall. There are over 60 of them. It is the only form of decoration here. The large flat desk is covered in maps, paperwork. In one corner, you see a large monitor from a computer that has been discarded entirely. Already, a thin layer of dust collects around it as a box full of floppy disks are scattered over it. There is a large plush office chair behind it. There is a man sitting there, middle-aged, with a permanent scowl and a flat, broad jawline that makes him immediately look like a classic Marine. He is meticulously groomed, and he's sitting inside of this office, poring through these maps and looking over a copious stack of notebooks, seemingly impatient, flinging them to the left as you enter, cursing to himself under his breath. He stops. The radio on his desk is still blaring with code that you do not understand. Behind him, a CB radio sits, buzzing quietly. He stands. You can leave us, Private Wynn. You are left alone with this man, Achira. The door is closed. I am Captain Hurst. This is my detail. Who are you? And why are you here?
I'm Achira Sampson. I got separated from my family and ended up in that shipping container.
Ma'am, how old are you?
Depends on what day it is. It was almost my birthday, so I'm either still 13 or 14. Sir.
You're a child. You look much older. You've been in that shipping container for 2 weeks? 3 weeks? How long?
I lost track of time. Whatever I had on me, I ate, and then there was nothing else to eat in the container.
Do you know what's happened?
I know that there were reports of things, and I was trying to get away, and I remember that my brother always said, trust the military. Even though, you know, in A Few Good Men, that wasn't a good example for trusting the military, but it was a good movie.
Fuck that movie. Look, this is serious. Do you know what has happened?
I know that there are things out there, but I was in there for a long time. Hasn't that been taken care of by now?
I wish it had. But I'm sorry to tell you, Achira, that it has not. There are very small holdouts. There are plans in place. What's left of the government has emergency bunkers, places that we can go to help reestablish what's been lost, but I need soldiers, not children, not dead weight. You strike me as a child.
I'm really 17. I was saying that I was younger before, so that you would take pity. I can enlist right now.
Good. Now I'm hearing the truth from you, Achira. We need soldiers. We need those that will do what needs to be done so that we can survive this. All other contingencies are out the window. We require resources, manpower. This unit has to be maintained. We have no outside support. Communication is non-existent. The situation is more dire than anyone will ever tell you. If you go back outside those walls, which we will gladly usher you out, Achira, you will find a world on fire. We are the United States Marine Corps. We do not roll over. We will take back what is left. And when the rest of this is sorted out, those who are surviving these times will be tasked with building the United States back to what it was. Do you understand me, young lady?
I understand you, sir.
Are you
ready.
strong enough?
I am strong enough. I'm strong, I'm quick, and I learn really quickly.
Over 90% of the infrastructure necessary to maintain a cohesive government has been absolutely lost. Our unreliable communications have told us that infection has not slowed. Only those who show any amount of resistance to it have been able to survive. It was airborne. Now it travels through them. The dead. Do you know what I'm talking about? Did you see them before you were locked away?
I did see them in an alleyway as I ran past.
Did you watch your family go?
I watched my boyfriend's girlfriend get taken down by them.
So then you understand what they can do.
I do understand what they can do.
Very well. If you are going to stay with us, you have to work for the right to remain here. Every soldier is going to make this work. You'll have your jobs. We'll enlist you as a private. Come with me.
Yes,
At that
sir.
point, yeah, he begins walking out the door. The captain turns and opens the door and then walks out.
Is there anything to eat on his desk?
You don't see anything, no.
All right.
The candy bar certainly helped you. You are still woozy, and you're still holding that canteen. He takes you down a series of steps into a basement area, and you see a number of long, very sterile-looking hallways, a number of doors, and all of them are closed off. And he stops and he turns to you. Before you take another step into this life, I need to know that you're willing to do what it takes to become one of us. Are you?
I'm not going out there until I'm ready. So yes, I will do what needs to be done.
From his belt holster, he pulls his pistol and hands it to you. Take this. There are 2 bullets. Don't worry. If you get any brave ideas, you saw the soldiers out front. Come with me. He walks 3 doors down, stops, pulls out a set of keys, and opens a door, motioning for you to enter.
Achira enters.
Inside the room, you see an elderly couple. An old, pale woman lying in bed. Seems as if she's blind. She leans up in her cot. Sitting in a chair, snoozing, is an old man. Captain. We didn't know when you would be coming back, but it's good to see you again. Thank you for helping my wife and I. We couldn't have made it without you and those other brave soldiers. I'm glad you've been comfortable. We've given you the best possible meal that we could provide. I do apologize. Jones isn't very good when it comes to working in the kitchen, and I'm afraid we've done the best that we can. However, we're glad that we could make you comfortable. This is Private Achira. She's here to make you more comfortable. Achira?
Yes?
Do you know what needs to be done? For their own sake. What? What do you mean? Who is this young woman?
Are they bit?
Are you questioning an order?
No.
If you are one of us, prove it. The weak will not survive. We are far past that. What are you talking about? Stop this nonsense. We'll leave. If there's some... Maeve, come along. And you see the old man trying to pull his bedridden wife out of the cot. In the wild, they would be infected or die horribly. Is that what you want for them?
No.
what you want for yourself?
No.
Then you need to grow up. This is the world that we now live in. And you said that you were willing to do what it takes. I'm asking you to prove that. Pull the trigger, Achira.
I am willing.
I don't know what you're talking about, but this isn't... You're scaring them. You're making it worse.
Achira aims for the person that is not bedridden.
You aim towards the old man.
Actually,
the old woman
Achira
seems to
would
be
walk
blind.
up while he's being distracted with his wife, place the gun against his head, and pull the trigger.
You do so. Within this small cinder block room, the ringing sound of the gunshot ricochets around you. As this is a point-blank shot against an old man, you do not need to make any rolls. You've pressed the pistol against his temple and put him out of his current state. He drops to the ground. The woman is screaming and crying. She's blind, but not deaf. What's happening? What's happening? No, no. Why? Why did you do this? Finish it, soldier.
Achira does.
The second shot rings out. Sometime later, after you have showered, changed into the fatigues that they had given you, and fed, able to rest for some time, the captain returns to your room. Now then, soldier, your job is going to be taking care of the nursery. Before you start giving me any shit about being a sexist pig, I'm going to point out that every man in this unit is useless when it comes to childcare. We have gathered some of the remaining survivors from a local area. We would prefer to see that they remained with us. However, I'm not going to lie about this. As soon as they become liabilities, it will be your job to help us remove them. Do you understand?
Perfectly, sir.
I didn't build this world. You can hate me. But if you stay with this unit, you will survive. One of them is a baby. From what we understand, her name is Faith. We want you to watch over them. Keep them secure, keep them fed, keep them clean. Most importantly, keep them out of my men's way. We're going to be bunkered here for some time, and then we're going to be moving across the country. Prepare yourself. Do you understand, soldier?
This soldier understands, sir.
When a commanding officer asks you a question, you salute and say, "Yes, sir." Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'll have one of the boys show you to the nursery. Take the rest of the evening off. You've done well. The captain turns and slams the door. Rowan. The sound of the large makeshift windmill creaks in the wind. You're sitting with your feet kicked up inside of the bunker. You've got a stack of old magazines here. You've got a pile of ammunition, and you're cleaning weaponry. Number of guns have been disassembled and are spread out before you on the table. These are some of your favorites. You glance outside the bars on the window, covered in thick gridded metal that protects every single window in this installation now. And you see that sizable tree, the one that must have been a sapling shortly after the world ended. It claims dominance over the grass and the other weeds that scatter through this place, and the shattered parking lot that it used to be now is just a ghost, a remnant of what it once was. The painted lines are almost entirely gone, and a large chain link fence surrounds the lot. It's been patched over 1,000 times, and on a second layer outside of the chain link is a series of corrugated steel barricades that have been bolted together. A number of the Romeros have been chained to the outside. When they grow restless, you know that the others are coming. Part of the multi-tiered security systems that the Citadel have created. You've been part of this community now for quite a few years. You've risen through the ranks. You and Sharky, Private Torres from your old unit, made your way here after everything went sideways out east. Your skills, your abilities, but more importantly, your understanding of the military caches that were spread out through this area made you invaluable. The leadership here likes you, and you've done well for yourself. Outside, a series of large Sherman tanks have been dissected, and you can hear Sharky shouting and cursing as he continues to move parts around, working on the one tank that you all have been managed to piece back together. It functions. It requires consistent repair, but it's your ace in the hole. In fact, it's been painted to represent that. There is a single black spade that has been painted around a circle of red on the side of the tank. And everyone refers to the tank as AC. You have a few other allies that you've worked with here, individuals that you have survived with now in this community. But today, there seems to be a specific situation that is quickly brewing on the outside. Sharky has quieted, and you see a few other individuals gathering around a number of horses that have entered through the gate. You see a middle-aged woman who has her kind of graying hair pulled back tightly, wearing very serviceable but clean clothing. You've heard about this. This Dr. Maria Espinosa from Grey Ridge. The Citadel has been courting her community now for some time. They're small, but due to the doctor's ingenuity, it seems that they are on the verge of being able to produce a great number of very helpful antibiotics and other medicines. The leadership of the Citadel is very interested in this. And you see a number of them swirling about. The radio that sits on your desk crackles into life.
You better get your ass out here and take a look at this, eh?
Yeah, I'll be right down. I'm seeing a lot of action going on up here. Also, glad to see that sorry son of a bitch got that tank working again. I knew he would. See, I told you.
Yep. The boss is going to want you to be here.
I'm headed right down.
You gather your weaponry and you move down. And as you do, you see the commotion that has been caused by the arrival of these individuals. You don't know who the other two are. One of them is a larger man with a big full beard and a fairly soft-looking face, carrying a number of rifles on his back. And then there is a pasty, older-looking man, also fairly well-armed, but all told, this is a fairly sad state to be delivering a doctor in. If they traveled all the way from Grey Ridge here to the Citadel, they would have put her at risk. All the more reason and proof that the services of the Citadel are going to be needed very badly by the Grey Ridge Group. You see a number of other individuals moving about, and over the course of this time, they begin closing in. The doctor dismounts along with the others, and they all get promptly searched. They're allowed to keep their weapons, but it is clear that the leadership wants to know exactly where everything is on each of these people as they have come through these gates. You're standing there, and you see another individual walk up. A man known as Riggs. Not the sole leadership of the Citadel, mind you, but a grizzled, middle-aged man who exudes threatening malice. He has a patchy white beard and a network of burn scars up his neck. His hair is pulled very tightly back against his head, so tightly that it looks as if it hurts. Dressed in old patched camouflage, Riggs walks forward and nods to you. I'm gonna want you at my right the whole time. You got it?
Oh, of course. That's why I'm here.
Let's show these Grey Ridge pussies what we're about.
I'm getting that vibe.
You and Riggs begin moving forward. The doctor stands there, arms crossed. You can tell that she is already being very confrontational. If you would like, I can have you make a spot listen check.
I will do that. Any difficulty or anything?
No difficulty.
Right.
Would you like to ride this failure?
I can't see it. How am I?
It's 5 degrees of failure. You've rolled a 97.
And so it begins. Yeah, I'll
Welcome
let this one
back,
ride
my
out.
friend.
I feel all warm and tingly inside. Yes, I'll write it out.
You keep watching as Sharky is moving a large piece of the tank by himself using a very poorly maintained forklift. Smoke begins issuing out of it as the piece drops to the ground with a loud clunk, and everyone turns their head. You realize that you've been fully distracted by this moment and are not paying attention to anything that the doctor or any of the doctor's companions are doing in this moment. Riggs walks forward. My name is Riggs. This here is Rowan. You know the others. Welcome to the motherfucking Citadel. Now, we know all about Grey Ridge. You know we've already sent our people there. We've assessed your sorry little situation, and you're in luck. The Citadel has deigned to give you their protection for an appropriate cost. The doctor speaks softly, calmly, in the face of this brute, regarding both you and he with a certain amount of disdain. As you know, my name is Dr. Espinosa, and I could have sent anyone here. I could have had any number of my people come to listen to whatever it is that you have to say and to send you my regards, my appreciation, and my refusal. However, I wanted to prove to all of you that your protection isn't needed. I can take care of myself, and my community can as well. And any sort of half-assed bullying isn't going to change the fact that if you want what we produce, you will pay for it just like everyone else. We've worked too hard. to have bandits take what we've earned. You hear this shit, Rowan?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call us bandits, Doc. And I do walk up to her almost uncomfortably close into her bubble, like kind of nose to nose, and give her a good once over. You know, I think we may have come across a little too abrasive. I do apologize. You know what? You're right. You know, these boys don't think that us women can handle ourselves sometimes. But I see where you're coming from.
They're further back in the evolutionary chain. You can't really hold it against them.
Right. You know, we were just looking at, you know, they heard some things, a little bit of your setup. Just wanted to make sure that, you know, someone such as yourself, as valuable as you, did have all the protection that you need. It only takes one slip up somewhere before these towns get overrun. I don't know if you've heard about some of the other things going on down the way. I don't know how accurate all of them are, but on occasion we get things in the CB radios and we hear things that don't sound too good. Surely you must know how valuable you are as a human.
Would you
To
like
all
to
of
make
us.
Would you like to make a persuade or an intimidate check?
Oh, I wish there was a joint roll. It's kind of both. I'll do. I
You can
think I'll do
choose.
persuade.
And lean into it. I'll allow either to have a little flavor of the other, but I do need to know what you're trying to accomplish here.
I'm looking for them. They're under basic skills, right?
So yeah, under basic you'll find, or actually I'm sorry, under trained you'll find persuade and intimidation both, or
Okay.
intimidate.
I will try to persuade.
No
her.
difficulty dice, nothing like that. You're in a comfortable position within your citadel. You've rolled a 91%, and this is your persuade. So we're going to say that you've leaned a little too far into your intimidation, unless you would like to spend some of your hard-earned competency to mitigate this. I will say with 35%, you are not the most social of creatures.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'll just let it. I'll let it ride on the failure.
So it's been years since anyone has made a movie or a television show, but both of you look like you're old enough to remember what it was like back in the day before the whole world went to shit. When television used to portray the good cop and the bad cop. Right now, I'm just seeing bad cop and worse cop. You should get your lines together before you come at any of us. Grey Ridge is going to stand firm on this. We don't want your service. We appreciate the offer. We would like to continue to trade with you. And when you're ready, you will pay the fee and you will get the antibiotics that you seek. It's as easy as that. I'm here in good faith. All right, okay. I get this. I know you want some sort of actionable proof. Well, listen, we here at the Citadel are not going to leave it to chance. We want to prove to you that we can do what we promise. Ain't that right, Rowan?
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, Riggs. Sorry. By the way, you shouldn't believe everything you see on TV with the good cop, bad cop deal. You know, we try our hardest. It's kind of a rough situation out here these days. But Riggs, I think that she might be a bit confused about what world she's living in.
I think so.
I feel like she doesn't understand how important having a strong sense of community is.
Why don't we take the good doctor here and show her the swimming hole?
You want to go see the swimming hole, Doc? It's real nice. I think you'd like it. Feels like a summer vacation.
If I don't return to Grey Ridge in 12 hours' time, everything burns and my people come here. You get nothing, and all the other communities are notified that you're responsible for my death. So you better pray to whatever God you may or may not believe in, who may or may not still be sitting in the sky after this apocalyptic piece of shit went down. But you better pray that I make it back home without a hair on my head harmed. We ain't gonna hurt you, sweetie. Just calm yourself. Cool your jets. We're just gonna show you the swimming hole. If you recall, a couple weeks back, there were a couple of thieves that were caught raiding both your crops and kidnapped one of your fucking own. What was her name again? I think it was Sunny. Is that right, Rowan?
I believe it was something like that. Mm-hmm.
Well, you couldn't find him, could you? Do you know where Sunny is? 2 days your people ran around. Oh, where are they? You couldn't do it. You couldn't seal the deal. Well, the Citadel fucking did. We've got both the criminals and Sunny here. And we're going to give Sunny back to you free of charge. Just to prove that we do what we say we're going to fucking do. Ain't that right?
Yeah, also, she's kind of a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's to show you we're good on our word.
She's a huge pain in our ass. Rowan's being polite. Mm-hmm. Well, fuck it. Come on, boys. Bring him up. He whistles, and immediately everyone gathers up, everyone present here in the courtyard, and takes you back to a broad, flat building with a large cargo door that is rolled up. And there's a concrete floor in this immense open warehouse. And along the side, there is a scaffolding that is wrapping around the entire interior of this building. This warehouse is filled with 50 of the members of the Citadel. Not all of the Citadel, but a lot of them. All holding weapons. Various rifles, pistols, axes, bats. A true show of force. The doctor looks a little nervous as everyone walks in and the doors behind you all are closed. Riggs whistles a second time, and 2 individuals with bags on their head and their hands zip-tied behind their backs are thrown forward by one of the members of your group. The hoods are pulled off, and these horribly beaten men, who are both perhaps in their middle age, but they are so covered in dirt, blood, grime, and their own swollen faces that it's hard to tell much of anything at this point. They are whimpering, and as one of them begins to talk, the butt of a rifle slaps them across the broad part of their back, and they hit the ground coughing.
Ooh, I love that part. Every time we do that part. That's fun.
It's one of my favorites too, Rowan. We're of a kind here. I always liked your sense of flair too. Hey, bring that little bitch out, the one that keeps spitting at us. And immediately unbound, Sunny bursts out, and the young-haired blonde woman who looks a little dirty and worse for wear runs forward and immediately hugs the doctor, who, without flinching or breaking any of your eyes, carefully pushes her backwards where the 2 other men take care of her, shielding her, and everyone forms a protective unit around Sunny. I told you we ain't gonna hurt you.
I look at Sunny and I go, oh, look, someone you don't spit at. For a minute there, I thought you were part camel.
She sure as hell acted like it. You hear the doctor. Did they hurt you? No, they're horrible, but no, they didn't hurt me. I just, I went out of here, and I saw what they did to the other 2, and it's not good. I mean, they deserved it. Those fuckers deserved it, but it's not. The doctor shushes Sunny and then turns back to all of you. Now then, we promised you a show. See, when we find criminals, we see that justice is meted out, and they have been found wanting. Ain't that right?
100%.
The floor begins to open as 2 metal panels slide backwards as a number of very strong individuals grab onto chains and pull back large metal sheets that reveal what looks like a small swimming pool filled with dark, brackish water. This is the motherfucking swimming hole. Whenever we find individuals who don't really deserve our respect or another chance at this little ball of blue we call Earth, we say goodbye to them. Now, we'll kill them any way we want, but we like sending messages so that it's perfectly clear that we're not fucking around. And then when you cross the Citadel, you pay the price. And if the Citadel offers another community protection, well, Rowan.
Yeah, you learn the hard way. Also, you're going to love this, Doc, but it's really going to make you miss popcorn.
The rest of the group stands back as the two bloodied men on the floor have chains locked around their necks with cinder blocks. And the cinder blocks are thrown into the water as the men are forcibly pulled in and immediately begin treading water desperately, trying to stay afloat.
Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, he can't hear.
Hit the lights! And immediately, a generator kicks up and the room starts to fill with fumes as exhaust pours out of a large generator that's clunking along. It sounds ancient, but it's still moving. All of these lights underwater turn on. And then you see all of the dead that are chained at the bottom, reaching desperately upward, trying to grab. The Romeros swim desperately towards anything and everything, reaching and grabbing. As the two men who have just been pulled in are drowning underneath the weight of the cinder blocks, they, to their credit, are staying afloat. Above this all, a countdown clock has begun. 2 minutes is the record. Let's see if they can fucking beat it. I got $5 on the stupid looking one.
I'll take that bet.
Done. You're going to lose like last time, Rowan. And they begin
Yeah, that sounds right.
pedaling as hard as they could. Time continues to click down. Eventually, time catches all of us. We're going to take a short break. And when we return, we're going to rejoin our survivors and discover what it is exactly that Juniper has found herself in the middle of. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hunters Entertainment on Twitch.tv. My name is Nuxweiler Burf, and I am your game master and guide in the dark world of Outbreak Undead. We are playing a campaign known as Rag and Bone. We have been visiting the past of a number of our characters, although the present itself is a far more dangerous place. Juniper, in the darkness of your current situation, without a light, torch, or any other means to find your way in these dark tunnels that you've found yourself within, you have stumbled a number of times. You are badly bruised. You have a scratch across your cheek that is weeping openly. Everything is sore and stings, and you are out of breath, having nearly been killed by your former Rag and Bone companion, Abigail. She is different, affected in some way, and extremely dangerous. You have found the two children that you have sworn to help, if possible, Kit and Crash. These red-headed orphans were within the building that has been left behind you, that is now burning from the smell of smoke and heat that you are sensing as you continue to run. These two children have given you some information. They have the pack of the man that was brave enough to try to help you, but stupid enough to not be able to get away. You've decided to move further along. Is that the case?
I believe I was going to go towards where the opening would be, where the surface would be. Because I didn't want to keep going down. I wanted to start going back up.
And if I recall, you made a navigation check and you were very successful.
Yes.
You have managed to use your inherent skills to direct the three of you through these corridors. It is still dark, although picking through this pack, you might be able to find some items that might be of use. Would you like to take Blockbuster's bag as your own?
Yes, please.
Within it, you find a number of items. There is also a large stash of VHS tapes. And one of them, when you light the crank torch that you find within it, looks familiar to you.
Same color as some of those other ones, but can't read it. Whatever. Show it to others later. Throw it back in the bag.
You don't believe that anyone can read this.
Oh.
It's a series of dots and dashes on a white label.
Oh, they weren't letters. Can I don't think my character knows this either, though. So just. But would I have seen dots and dashes on a VHS before?
In Station 113, you and the other Rag and Bone had come across a tape that was very similar. When it was played, there was a strange message from another survivor somewhere in a remote installation claiming something about a cure. The tape was horrible. The condition didn't survive. But you remember Blockbuster's last words as Abigail, with her jagged mouth, descended upon that hapless man, ripping his throat from his body. The tape! You have to...
Well, this is pretty important, I guess. I feel like I've already seen this one, but... it does not matter. If we don't make it out of here, no one's going to see any of these stupid tapes. And they're very heavy.
If we behave ourselves, Sonny lets us watch whatever we want.
Yeah, cool. Sounds like a plan. If we... Yep, behave yourselves. You can watch all of these weird tapes. There's some blue ones and black ones and dot
I'm cold.
ones. All right.
It's cold. It's cold in here. Are you cold?
I mean, I'm like hot from the running and the being scared and thinking I was gonna die a couple seconds ago. He didn't feel any spookies or nothing.
Hey, lady.
What?
What was that singing?
That's probably. I guess the only thing I know is that anytime someone sings, is bad. So if someone starts singing crap like that around you, probably just run, because that what is? I don't know what it was, but it was like. I don't know. That was a weird zombie, huh?
I don't like that old lady. It sounds like her. She was singing that song.
Yeah. Singing is bad. Let's just remember that rule then. Singing is bad. Anyone who sings, shoot them or run.
Yeah, just like that. I don't want to die.
No, me neither. I mean, no one wants to die.
Charlie No Face isn't going to find us, right?
What now? Which one's that?
Charlie No Face.
What is that? What is that? That sounds terrible.
You shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. No, it's real. I saw it. You be quiet.
What is
They're
this?
being very loud.
Hey, stop yelling. Stop yelling. Be good.
Persuasion or intimidation?
Boy. Let's see. Let's do persuasion. Any difficulty dice?
No difficulty dice at this moment. I do believe you are slightly injured. Is that correct? You have an injury, or are you?
I had one from a while ago, like 3 episodes ago, and I will be real. I think it was like a one dot situation.
It's a fairly small injury, but
Yes.
it has it does burn. You're not at your best, but you are certainly not overly slow down in this situation. However, your current threshold is only a 5. That could be very bad for you.
Yeah. Okay, but I will persuade the heck out of these children. Or just do a kind of bad job. That's a -1. That's a 1 failure.
Do you wish to do anything about that?
Oh boy. I'll take it. What could possibly happen?
Very well. So you try to convince them that it is in their best interest to be quiet, and while they do lower their voices for a moment, as you continue down these deep corridors, passing through these large beams, you find a number of other lanterns. You continue to crank this small flashlight, this kinetically powered light that flickers and doesn't have a lot of strength to it. However, you do find a number of other lanterns similar to the one that you passed up earlier down this corridor. If you would like to light it, you may.
Can I take them off the wall and put them in my pack?
Yeah. Yes. Well, you wouldn't want to do that. They're full of oil.
Oh, I see. Can I? Is it the oil spill outable, or can I contain it in some way?
You could try to contain it if you wish to save the oil.
Yeah, I'd like to either try to contain it or look in the bag for something that is like a jar or Tupperware.
There are small metal canisters on the bottom of each of these lanterns that have been affixed. They're all heavily rusted, but you can see that they have been maintained within the past, perhaps, year. There is a sizable amount of liquid in the first one. You check another one, and it has about half that amount. You unscrew the bottom, and how would you like to secure it?
Find a piece of bendable something, foil, or maybe a broken piece of another jar, and bend it over to kind of try to make a seal, and then wrap it with some cloth or something to try to make it watertight.
All right. I'll allow it. You do manage to seal it as best you can. It isn't perfect, and it does leak. Where do you put it?
This is a fun game. If there is any way to put it on an outer pouch, if there's sort of one of those pouches on Blockbuster's bag that would put a water bottle in usually, sort of on the outside.
Full of pouches. So you can pull some items out. You find a series of weaponry, some throwing knives that Blockbuster had kept in this pouch, and a number of wrapped, very stale-looking granola-type bars that look like they're homemade. And there's a number of those that are in the side pouch. You pull that out and you put this oil container into the backpack, and then you shoulder the backpack again?
Yes.
And you're going to light the other lantern, or you're going to hold on to it?
I'm gonna just keep using the electric turny one.
All right.
And I'm gonna store the oil.
It casts a very weak beam of light. And as you and the two twins continue forward, you realize that they've not been quiet enough. You hear something. Make a spot listen check, please.
Yes. The old spot listen. -4? 4 failures?
4 degrees of failure. Would you like to be oblivious and have that be problematic, or would you like to make a deal?
Me make a deal with my 3 competency points?
You could spend your 3 competency points, or I'm open to other suggestions as to how you fail.
Okay. I think I will take that failure. Because usually if something bad's coming, it's going to come whether I hear it or not. But I think the failure would be I get into a pretty loud fight with the kids. We stop moving. We're arguing about them being quiet. I'm getting louder. We're just yelling at each other about being quiet. It doesn't make the conversation makes no sense because we're both children basically, and we're all children here. And we waste a lot of time. We're fighting for 5 minutes.
So for 5 minutes, you and the children are arguing, and you have to continuously crank this light, because it doesn't have a battery. It's powered by a kinetic little generation, and the charge doesn't hold for very long. And so every time you have to crank it, you hear. And between that and all of the argument, there is a point where Kit and Crash are physically pulling at the bag, trying to get to the granola bars that you had displaced when you were trying to put that oil away. And they're tugging on the bag. And you hear very clearly a gun as it's cocked.
Oh.
Well, well. What do we have here?
Hello? Hello? Can I see them yet or no? Are they
You
behind
see
me?
3 figures standing in one of the alleys of this long, splitting underground tunnel system. There are a number of tunnels ahead of you. You know which one you're trying to move down, and they're standing in the entrance of that tunnel. It's the one that seems to loop back to one of the other entrances to the mines. And what you see is at first a silhouette, and then you see a lantern being raised up, and you start to see some facial features and the rest of what appears to be 3 people standing before you. One of them is a rough-looking man in his early 30s with close-cropped hair. It's black and kind of rich, dark skin that's peppered with really faint tattoos, but they're crude. They don't look like tattoo. They don't look like, you've seen tattoos. These aren't great. It feels like they're pretty rough. You don't come from the time before the fall, but for all of our mental imaging, this is what would probably be referred to as prison tattoos back in the day. But now it's just the best that people could come by, you know, because the art of tattoo has certainly declined with the rest of civilization. And there's kind of a kind of a soft look to his eyes, and he's sort of like hanging back just a little bit as he's looking at you, and he seems interested in the fact that you're traveling with 2 young children. Seems to be very aware that this isn't a normal situation, and while you do see a pistol in his hand, he's not pointing it at you. The person who's pointing the gun at you is a slick-looking 40-something man with thinning gray hair that's pulled back into a ponytail, and he has a stick in his mouth, and he's chewing on it. He's got a heavily patched old business suit on that looks like it's been stuffed with like an interior quilting, so that it's thick enough to withstand some attacks, like physical attacks. Although there's still this kind of laughable cut of fabric, and you've seen magazines of the way that people used to dress, and it seems like this is some sort of grotesque mockery of what a business person would look like. He's also got elbow and knee pads on, and shin pads that look like they came off of an old paintball gear set. But he's got a submachine gun, and that is what's pointed at you. You don't know types of weapons, but this looks like it would hurt you really badly. And that's pointed at you. He has a couple of messenger pouches on his side, and then there's a third person who is standing next to the other 2, and you have often been able to spot, not only because of their age, but because of the way that they present themselves, the wild children of the apocalypse. And you see this girl that's standing next to the 2 of them, who has a mohawk and some of these additional tattoos across her body that look like they're from the same artist. Kind of crude, rough looking blue tattoo work. She's got fairly like sunburnt skin, but she's got all these tattoos that kind of network along the side of her head where her mohawk is. And, you know, she's got this really wicked looking broomstick that has a number of meat cleavers that have been wound together with barbed wire, and she's holding on to it like a staff. And you can just tell from the way that she dresses that there are these pops of bright color that kind of denote the wild children that have taken a cue from the 1990s before the world fell. All of them are looking at you, and the individual with the submachine gun is pointed to you. That pack there.
Hello. What?
That pack.
Uh-huh.
We'll be taking that.
You see Juniper look into the air for a second. You see like all the math calculating in her head about what she's seeing, what's in this bag, that she just got this bag, and wasn't really her bag to begin with. Now it's got some loose oil in there. Who cares? And she's like, okay, do you need it like real bad, or why are you lost?
That bag belongs to Blockbuster. I'm taking it that those screams mean he didn't make it.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I ran into some guy and he just there was a scuffle. There's a Romero down there.
Yeah, well, we work with him, so that's ours now. That's how this all works. When one of them dies, I bet he died loud because I could hear him, but I bet he died loud. Anyway, that's ours now, the girl says.
Okay. I just give them the bag. I do not care about this bag at all.
Okay, so you pass it over, and the wild child kind of steps forward, and she kind of looks at you territorially, and then grabs it, and like kind of pulls it back. Now, don't pay any attention to Yo-Yo. She's just a little wound up. It's not safe. I don't know if you have noticed, but there's a horde outside, and it's really bad.
Yeah. Yep. That's why we're in Funtown Cave. So what's happening here? Were you guys trying to escape the horde too, or were you already in here?
We were here looking. Why do you care?
I don't know. Just making conversation. I don't have to talk to you. I could just leave.
What's down there? What got him?
It's a Romero.
A Romero?
Oh, I'm dead.
All right, now I know you're lying. I've seen Blockbuster slay 14 to 15 Romeros when surrounded. We all thought that he was long gone, but that motherfucker knows how to fight. Real strange. I mean, I've never seen anybody jump into the middle of a pit of the dead and actually hit them with nunchucks, but that's what he does. Yeah. So you're telling me that a single Romero took down Blockbuster?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I didn't know about the other stuff, but I don't think it really mattered. It was like a fast, mad, it kind of talked. I don't.
What is she talking about?
It kind of talked. Okay, if you think I'm lying.
The Romeros don't talk, and that doesn't make any sense.
Well, a lot of things don't make sense, and sometimes you gotta let it pass you by. But
we don't believe her.
Okay.
Serge, she ain't telling the truth.
No, I am. I don't have it. Kids, be quiet! The kids are
the kids are fighting there, and they stop.
Why be quiet?
Did these kids are not yours? They're not with you?
I mean, they're with me because I'm trying to save them because the horde came and then we got in these mines, and I'm just trying to get back out and get back with everybody out there. I don't know.
All right. So you're with the others that came in.
I don't know. Which
Who
one?
are you with is what I'm asking.
Like tall lady with glasses who's like mean and has like a lot of guns, and another lady who likes to set everything on fire and is also a little bit mean, and then this guy who has like a spear. He like carries a spear, which seems really like spear is like a tall stick with like a
the guy who hasn't said a word, who has been standing there silently the whole time, is laughing his ass off, like trying to hold back the laughter as you describe all of this, and not in a malicious way, just in a this is all ridiculous, why are we here having this conversation way. And you can see that he just jovial continues to laugh as you continue to describe all this. All right, now, Stack, now quit it. This is serious business. Blockbuster's gone. Well, and I don't believe that he died by one fucking Romero.
Well, I didn't. Oh, do you think I killed him? I'm like tiny.
You might have. It's more believable. You had his pack.
I was trying to help him.
I bet that's exactly what she did.
Oh my God.
I bet she killed him when he wasn't looking.
I can't even get up when I fall down. How could I kill a man?
For sure you did. For sure you did.
Oh, look at the... Hey, little kids, did I kill that other guy that we just saw?
She didn't do it. She didn't do it, mister. That's not what happened.
These are like little...
What? Now I'm talking to the kids. You want me to talk to the kids? I'm going to talk to the kids, all right?
Have fun.
Now, what exactly happened? Well, we couldn't get it. We weren't supposed to be downstairs, but we went downstairs. All right, what happened after you went downstairs? Well, the sick ones, they were trying to, the sick ones. Yeah, the sick ones were trying to grab on, but like, she's real tough. And so we thought we'd get through, but then we had to steal the keys. So we stole the keys, and then we heard the screams, and she just let them die. But after that, when we knew we were safe, we ran, and then your friend Billy Buster came in, and he was screaming, and he dropped his pack and told us to wait. And then we got a little close, but we didn't want to get any closer because that crazy lady was singing. The Romero. No. She's the old lady. She sings, and I don't know, but there was the other one, and she was the one who killed him. Blockbuster died by the hands of a single Romero. I don't know, mister. I don't know what it was. But I want a granola bar.
Oh my god, this is not... There's a granola bar in that pack that they saw, and they wanted to eat it, and that's why we've been fighting for the last 5 minutes in this cave!
All right, look. The individual in front of you, who apparently is named Serge, lowers his gun. We have to go back in case he's still alive.
Well, okay, well, that sounds like a fun adventure for you all to have as a group. I don't want to face that Romero back there again, because I sort of already did that, and it was very bad, and I'm all, like, fucked up, right? Look, I don't...
We aren't worried about Romeros.
Well, have fun. I'm gonna take these 2 small, loud children, and we're gonna keep going.
All right. I'm gonna send Stack with you. Stack, take the pack, take these 3 all the way back to the entrance, and don't let them out of your sight, just in case.
Okay, I mean, we don't need an escort.
You're getting an escort.
What?
The other individual kind of steps forward, and he grabs the pack that belonged to Blockbuster, and looks at you. I'm really sorry about that. They didn't mean any harm. It's just probably safer if I walk you back. Are you okay with that?
Okay. Just
think of it as an extra pair of eyes, you know?
Okay, we've been having a bad run of meeting strangers who end up inevitably trying to kill us, so it'd be real neat if you wouldn't do that, especially because I have these 2 small, loud things with us now, too.
Do you have a gun?
No, I've got like a bow and arrow situation that's not been working out super well for me. And,
right.
I lost like another sharp thing back there.
He pulls out a small revolver and checks it and closes the cylinder on it and then hands it to you.
Ooh.
Do you know how to use this?
Yes.
All right. Well, obviously don't shoot me, but if it makes you feel better, you've now got a gun. I have guns as well, but more importantly, if any more Romeros are down here, you shoot the Romeros, we all get out.
I turn to one of the kids to Crash. Hey, do you know how to shoot a gun? Do you want this? Hey, kid, do you want this gun?
Yeah, I can shoot.
You can shoot this
and
gun?
Kit grabs it out of your hand. Yeah. And like
cool.
holds
I
onto
definitely give a kid a gun. That's what just happened. Yeah.
And then the kid is like, I want to hold it. No, I'm in charge of it. Sonny taught me how to shoot, and so
Hey, no fighting, or I take the gun and I throw the bullets away. So which one? No one gets the gun.
Did you just give the kids a gun?
What? No. What? Yes.
The guy shakes his head, and all of you start moving down the corridor as you watch Surge and Yo-Yo making their way back down the way you came. Surge has the lantern and is holding it up. And if you try to crank that again, Stack puts a hand on the light. You know that's how we found you, right? This thing is really loud.
Oh, well.
So let's just light one of these.
Okay, I'm trying to save gas.
Sparks the lantern and gives it to you. If you're not going to shoot, then at least you'll have this. Do you take it?
Is it a lantern or is it like a torch?
It's a lantern.
A hangy one? Okay.
Yeah, it's a hangy lantern.
Okay.
It does have a glass enclosure, but most of it is made out of metal, and there's metal along the sides that's supporting all of it. And so the four of you start moving through the corridors. You still know your way through this area, but it seems like this guy isn't exactly taking you back the way that you were headed. Do you follow, or do you wish to try to convince him otherwise?
We have a talk. Hey, we were gonna go this way. Why are we going? Where are you going that way?
Why are we going this way? Because this is the way we came from.
We
came in this way.
Where'd you come from?
One of the other entrances.
Was there like a farm nearby, or like a town, or what?
I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you, but I'll just tell you that we work for Blockbuster from time to time. That guy is sort of a big deal and manages to collect a lot of really important resources. And what we heard was that Grey Ridge was storing things down here. So we don't exactly want to be seen leaving, because they store things down in these mines. And since everything is going to hell, we were just trying to salvage what was left over. The call went out from 10-4. Who are you with?
So there's the tall lady with the sunglasses who is mean to me. There is the other lady with
right. The mean people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're the main. I don't know. There's other people who live like in this town, and I think they kind of suck. They like make medicine, or I was really paying attention.
Yeah, they make medicine. Make medicine.
You seem real hung up about it, but
well, it helps people, right? Like, you don't. You're just like a yo-yo.
What? What's a yo-yo?
Nothing. I didn't say anything. Don't worry about it. All right? I didn't exactly, I was 6 when it all went down. Like, I don't even really remember, but that doesn't mean that I'm feral.
What? What happened? You were 6 when what happened?
The world.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you could be referring
infections.
To like meeting a friend or seeing something new. I don't know.
That's the other thing about the Wild Ones. None of you seem to recognize the fact that there was something that happened that brought us here. This is all that there was. Like I said, I was 6. I barely remember anything. But
yeah, so it doesn't. I mean, I guess it's bad, but it's not like it can go back to the way it was. So, I don't know.
I think it's this way. Are you coming this way, or are you going the other way?
Hey kids, do you trust this new person we just met right now?
I don't know. I have a gun.
That's true. All right, let's just go with him. We follow him in his direction instead.
So
chaos.
you, Kit, and Crash, and this individual known as Stack start making your way through some more of these passageways. The lantern that you're using is fairly effective. It's bright, and go ahead. I'm going to make a roll and see how you do with the light. You're burning it pretty quickly. It is flickering a little bit as you start to move through all of this network of passages. Nothing is a straight path here. And you open up on what is clearly a series of mining shafts. There are tracks that are inset into the rocky ground, and there are these old carts that are built up. And as the four of you kind of make your way over the tracks themselves and start kind of winding your way past all of these large carts that are in the middle of it, is there anything that you would like to do, Juniper?
When we pass a set of carts, I would like to kick it to see if it'll go down the other opposite way. Just to see if it pushes.
Okay, so all I would like for you to do is to just make a strength. Let's just do a straight strength check as you kick it.
Okay. There's no strength, so should I just do a lift pull?
Yeah, do a lift pull. Just,
Okay.
There's a way. Just do lift pull. That makes more sense.
1 degree,
1 degree of failure.
failure.
Okay, so yeah, you kick it and there's a creak and it moves about 3 feet. And while the grinding of because it's been locked, and you kick it and like the lock kind of breaks a little bit and it does kind of loudly squeak about 3 inches forward. The wood kind of rumbles.
Oh, that wasn't very
Zach
satisfying.
turns around and looks at you. And then his face drops. As deeper down the corridor from the direction that you came, you hear screams.
Oh.
And automatic gunfire.
Oh. Hey, I did try to warn you.
Shh. You said that Romero wasn't normal.
Yes, it was not normal. No, it's not normal. No, it's not normal.
All right. We're going to keep moving. He stops again and turns back to you. Was it quick? Rowan, you are outside and you have the limp, unconscious body of Lampwick shouldered between you and Philippe as the two of you begin to position yourselves so that you can move away from the doorway that you have fought so hard to come up to. It is locked. You can tell. Do you wish to try to force the door, or would you prefer to try to move back through the horde and make it to another entrance?
I'm going to try and force the door first.
All right. So when you make your way over there, you can make first make a spot listen. Three degrees of success. You hear movement on the other side of the door. It sounds like dragging sounds, like something's being dragged through the dirt, and somebody's breathing heavily. Also, across the horde, you can see that they're meandering about, but as you begin turning back, it looks as if they are they're thankfully moving further away, deeper back, away from the back rocky outcropping of the cliff itself, and moving back towards the house and the fire. While there are still Romeros that are roaming about and that will cause you some trouble, it does seem as if, for the moment at least, this horde has redirected for some reason, and you're not exactly sure as to why. So if you'd like to try to force the door, you may. And all I need is a lift pull. And I am going to give you 2 degrees of difficulty. I'm removing one of those degrees of difficulty because you're being assisted by Philippe. Otherwise, it would be 3. This is a very large, heavy door.
That is the black dice, correct?
Yes, 3 of those are going to be added to your roll. Additionally, do roll me 3 speed dice with that, because I need to know when your intention is going to happen within this set of actions, because there are opponents that are also acting independently of you.
And which one did you say?
3. So 3 of the blue dice and 3 of the black dice need to be added to your roll, and that will build your full roll.
And which roll? The lift pull?
Lift pull, please.
All right.
Four degrees of failure. Do you wish to keep that, or do you wish to spend some competency to change that?
I'm going to go ahead and spend a little competency here to change that. I have 3 of them. I will spend all 3 to make
Okay.
this less miserable on myself.
It will be less miserable, but it will not be a success. Understood? All right. So if you spend 3 competency, both you and Philippe are grunting loudly as you're prying this handle up, and something on the other side of this large steel door is clearly braced across it and is preventing you from opening it. It is a door that pulls outward towards you. However, something on the other side seems to be braced across the back of it, and you feel a lot of tension, especially around where the handle itself is, which is really just a broad bar that has been welded onto the side of this. But you grab onto it, and Philippe is next to you, and you hear Philippe bang on the metal door. You motherfuckers, we're still alive out here. Open.
Yeah, Philippe, I don't think they're coming for us, buddy. I don't think they give a shit.
These motherfuckers are going to leave us out here.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're gonna do. I fucking knew I couldn't trust these people. All right, look, the Romeros look a bit distracted off that way, and now we got this asshole to take care of. So, what do you say we try and find another way in?
Yeah. Let's do that. What about this asshole?
Well, we said we'd take care of him. I suppose we could take him back to our group, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, we throw him in the swimming hole. But best case scenario, he actually becomes a useful, protective member of our society.
I don't know, Rowan. He would have to live. And if he doesn't live, then what is the point? I don't think he's going to last very long.
Death is the worst case scenario, and then we're carrying a marrow. But
do we leave him here then? This motherfucker is not going to live, and I am not going to die for him. But
your points are valid.
We could maybe open the door, and you hear like the pounding as Philippe like turns back, and there's no response.
I have a new plan, Philippe. Let's carry him with us, and if this motherfucker dies when we find that other entrance, we just send his dead ass into the hole first to make sure he can take care of all of them. We call it a little lesson in leaving.
You are very classy. I like you very much.
That's why we get along, Philippe.
All right, let's go. And he shoulders you on the back of his jacket. He's got a Canadian flag that has been patched into it. You know, he's very proud of where he came from. And he helps you to shoulder Lampwick as the two of you start dragging them out. Now, when you get back into this horde, while it has started to thin out a little bit here, since there doesn't seem to be as much action on this specific side of the farmhouse, I will very quickly, let me make sure that I can set you up correctly. But if you look at the, I'm going to move us over to the farm map on Roll20 here. And you should be able to generally see the area around all of you. You are, it says Abigail, please ignore that, I apologize. But everyone with you, Abigail, is in this general area here. There are additional openings on the side, not here, but further back over here. And so if you're going to make it through that area, you have to backtrack. And so if you are going to backtrack, Rowan, what I would ask that you do is make for me a stealth check if you, Philippe, and Lampwick are trying to do this quietly. Or if you are being excessively vigilant, you can use a spot listen and just have your guns at the ready. Otherwise, you could be very quick about it and try to make a balance check. So those are really the 3 options that I'm going to give you as to how you can make your way across the yard of Grey Ridge without any specific impediment. There is Sharky on the other side of the tank that is firing. This tank, however, the tank is smoldering with a small fire on top of it, and it's not moving right now. So every once in a while, you'll hear a shell issue forth, and the ground will shake, and you'll hear other gunfire on the far side. But it's gotten a lot more quiet, and you're starting to notice that the dead seem to be ushering themselves out of the broken gates, towards whatever survivors are still within your group. You don't know what happened to the rest of the Citadel and the other groups that were called in by 10-4 and the rest of the Enders, but it does not sound like the situation has gone to plan. And it sounds like there is less support than there was.
As I am walking with Philippe, I relay to him, I think we're down a few people. Looks like they're headed over back towards our guys. And then I look at Lampwick unconscious and go, you better live, you sorry son of a bitch. Our numbers are dropping like flies. And I'm going to hit a stealth roll.
Okay, so you're going to go for the stealth option here. So go ahead and make that roll for me. And while you do, I'm going to congratulate all of our friends in the audience. They have unlocked a VHS, which means that the next session of our game will have something new to offer all of you, and we are quite excited for that. Additionally, I have 14 risk this week, and I'm going to very soon spend all of that. Rowan, you have 3 degrees of success on your stealth, so you, Philippe, and Lampwick, who is raggedly breathing, very shallow. You can hear a rattle, too, in the chest as he's going along. And you're starting to think that maybe Philippe was absolutely correct in how long this individual has to live. But you start making your way along the side of the cliff, moving amongst some of the burnt trees. And you see this enormous hole where it looks like the entire cache of dynamite must have gone off. You were there on the other side of the wall when it exploded, but now you're seeing this enormous crater in the ground. And you're wondering where the rest of it is, because if all of your intel is correct, there was a lot of really old dynamite around the area within the mines. And so you know that that might be a hindrance or a benefit to you and the survivors. But whatever was in that hole buried there probably was just the really sweaty stuff that looked like it was the most unstable. The rest of it was probably kept because it is a very valuable resource. And so you're making your way down along this cliff, Rowan. And having expended all of my risk, I'd like for you to make a spot listen check, please.
One degree of success.
You almost miss it. The ragged breathing next to you, and you're about halfway there to the other opening. You can see it off in the distance, and there's a small fire burning next to it in the night. There's heavy fog that's hanging low, and also the kind of smoke that has been billowing around. It's fairly hard to see anything clearly here. But in the firelight that is issuing forth from the farmhouse, which hasn't entirely burned, it only looks like it's about halfway through the building, and the roof is kind of ablaze at this point, but there are entire sections of it that still look like they're okay. You do hear some shouting and some commotion that's happening in that general area. You see the area, the spot, where you first ran across Achira and Lampwick. And lying there is this enormous mass of a man, this twisted abomination of muscle and mass, lying face down in the dirt with, smoke billowing all around. You see this mound, and just the dead are scattered all around it. And you watch as he pries himself up, throwing 2 hands outward and raising one of them to the front of his face. And you can see that the burlap sack has fallen off. And this figure is holding this massive, meaty hand up to their face. And you hear some sort of very strange groaning. And the figure stands and picks up an axe off the ground dragging it behind them. And you and Philippe, trust me, I know, are still moving quietly along this ridge, but you can't take your eyes off of this sight as the figure leans down and picks up the burlap sack and pries it back over their head. And as they do, the firelight hits the back of the head, and you see this warty, distorted mass of what looks like pus and strange, huge, cancerous-like growths along the back of the skull as this burlap conceals all of that, as this figure pries it over their large, deformed head. And you see figures with buckets trying to run them towards the house. And just as you and Philippe make your way to the mines, you see the figure grow quiet and turn and start to walk determinedly towards those individuals. Rowan, what would you like to do?
Which individuals is he walking towards?
There are two people with buckets. In the silhouetted light, you don't think that they are part of your group. They don't have the same...
Yeah, they're on their own.
Yeah. It seems as if they're probably members of the Grey Ridge community, or maybe additional Rag and Bone that are trying to assist. Your community, as I've said, it wasn't the only one that came to try to assist Grey Ridge. 10-4 had made the call, and there were a number of groups that gathered together to make this all work. And so you turn and leave them on their own. And as you and Philippe make your way to another large door, you hear screams.
Coming from that direction or coming from the other side of the door?
Coming from that direction. Inside, on the other side of the door, everything seems to be quiet. Philippe pries the door open, and it does creak. I will tell you, all of the locks here have been cut off and are scattered across the ground.
So it looks like it's already unlocked?
It has been unlocked. Somebody cut the locks, opening this specific entrance. What do you want to do? Do we go in here?
Well,
Do we go to the other?
See, here's the thing. Do you think that it was that ugly sack of shit and his people out there that unlocked this and are waiting for us to ambush us inside? Do you think that this is other survivors that have done this, the rest of the other crew that we're going to have to turn this asshole loose on for locking us out? Which group do you think it is, Flame?
That motherfucker back there does not look like the kind of person that would carefully cut off a lock. He seems like the type that would kick the door and knock it down. So I do not think in any way that he is going to take the time to carefully cut a lock.
All right, well, let's get the hell away from that sack of shit.
I agree.
That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. All right. Come on, Slouchy.
So you pry Lampwick up, and the door opens, and you descend into the darkness. Do you have on your gear sheet, Rowan, any sort of light?
I have a backpack, although I don't know if it has what it has in it. No, I do not. I do not have a flashlight.
Okay. I will say that Philippe doesn't have a flashlight either. In fact, flashlights are a rarity. The batteries and being able to operate them make them very difficult. Some people do manufacture bootleg batteries and still bring them to life.
She does smoke. She might at least have a lighter on her.
You do have a lighter. I'll definitely give that to you. However, in the darkness, once that door is open and you enter in, you spark your lighter, and a small amount of light casts into the general area. Go ahead and make a spot listen check, and we'll see if you can find anything while you're searching the area. Or you can make a search check, would be more appropriate. One degree of failure. You have no further competency, I believe. You spent all of them. So with that 1 degree of failure, you are unable to find an additional light source. And you, with Philippe kind of shouldering all the extra weight of Lampwick, is going to continue down this dark corridor as you stand there with your lighter, your Zippo lighter, as you are going to use that to guide you through. I'm going to go ahead and make a roll to see how long that is going to last for you. And you are traveling now, and almost immediately that light begins to flicker and dim, but you and your companions go deeper. And behind you, you hear the faint screams, and then everything becomes quiet. Achira, make an endurance check for me, please. One degree of success. Congratulations. Your eyes very painfully open and your head is ringing. And for a moment, all you remember is that sea container that was around you so many years ago and the stale, horrid smell of your survival in that place. But it washes away and you realize that you're smelling the dampness and the decay within this cave, and you covered in sweat with a trickle of blood that has dried across your head, you see the doctor sitting on a crate in front of you. There is a lantern that is burning, seated onto the rocky ground between the two of you, and you realize that both your feet and your wrists have been tied together. Behind your back, your arms and your feet are tied in front of you. You are leaned up against a rocky outcropping, and the doctor is sitting there holding a gun in front of her, your gun, and is quietly mumbling to herself with her head down. You don't know what she's saying.
Since I was able to very successfully hide my hand scythe earlier within my clothing, would it still be there? Because previously when we were when Lampwick was sick and we were being escorted into the doctor's quarters and everything, I hid my hand scythe on me.
I don't believe you used it.
I never used it. I was using my rifle up to this point. So
okay, so if I recall, you never drew it during your previous sessions. So since that is the case, I will say that the doctor didn't expect that you had it and didn't search you as closely as perhaps she could have. And it's still where you left it.
Okay. Then I would probably try to use its edge to as stealthily as possible cut through the ropes that are on my arms, my wrists, without her noticing. Like, okay. I would try to do that.
So this is going to be a little complex for you to do this.
I would imagine so.
And to not have her notice this. So this will be a series of rolls if you're going to begin this. But as your head begins to move, you hear her say, careful there. I don't want you to hurt yourself again.
Hurt myself again? Why, I hit myself in the head with a piece of wood. Yeah, I used to do that all the time as a child.
There was a certain kindness in that action, Achira. I don't like the things that I have to do, but I will do them. Surely you understand that.
All I know is that we need all hands on deck, and you just locked 3. Well, I mean, Achira would see that the doors, like...
You're not in that area.
Not in that area. Okay.
No, you don't know where you are, and it's a dark cave-like room with boxes that are stacked up, all of them wooden crates, and a couple of metal old containers that seem a little rusted, but they seem like they were military, actually. And those are stacked in this area as well. You don't know who they were. You know who that Rowan person was?
I have no clue. I have no idea. I just know that that's somebody with a gun that could keep a Romero off my back.
Sure. They could keep the Romero off your back today. Tomorrow they could have that gun trained on you.
Well, that's assuming that I would even be here for them to train a gun on me tomorrow.
I guess we both made a lot of assumptions. I saw what Lampwick did. You did too. There's no defending it. I'm not going to risk us. You're the one who convinced me that we needed to come here. Now, I didn't leave you here because I didn't want anything bad to happen to you. But if Lampwick is alive, you're going to need someone to put him together again. So if he means that much to you, it would be beneficial for you and I to come to an understanding. Now, while this is all happening, you are trying to cut your bonds. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that I'd like for you...
I am listening to what she's saying, but I'm definitely going to try to cut my bonds.
Yeah. So go ahead and make a stealth check for me. I'm not going to give you any disadvantages for now, but we'll see how you do on this roll. Four degrees of success. Congratulations. You rolled a 9.
He's a sneaky bitch.
So you're managing to do this. You've actually positioned yourself so that your scythe is turned in just a way that the blade is working its way across that hemp rope. And the hemp rope seems to be fairly old and dry and is cutting fairly easily. But it's going to take a while for you to make it through. And you also can't make big movements. Otherwise, you believe that you're going to reveal what you're trying to accomplish. So you have to do this very slowly.
I'd keep her talking then.
What do you say?
For someone who wants to survive, I just find it real short-sighted to keep as many people around you that can keep Romero's off you until you don't need them anymore.
Now, see, that's where I find this whole thing rather hypocritical of you, Achira. When I wanted to go back to the house to save people, you felt like that was a waste of effort and that we needed to save ourselves and come back to the mine so that we would be alive to work our way back. And in fact, the only reason I agreed to come in here with you was because we were able to work ourselves back through a secret passageway, a secret tunnel that would lead us back to the house. And yet, here we are. So
why aren't we at the secret tunnel then? Why didn't you take me there? I can still go with that plan. I mean, now there's only 2 of us and not 5 of us, but it could still be done.
Maybe. Maybe. You see, I've thought this through. At this point, we're between a rock and a hard place. The farmhouse was on fire, and I hope, against hope, that at least the children were able to get into the tunnels. There's that. Either way, I have to know. So I have to go back there. I need support to do it.
You can't go back there alone.
Right. But I don't know that I trust you. I don't know that you or any of the rag and bone that came into this community has anything but their best interest in mind. Now, I don't blame you for being selfish, but let me tell you where the real problem lies. With the Citadel. They're out there. And this Rowan that you seem to think is a bastion of survival heroism, I've got to tell you the truth. She's a cold-blooded killer. And all of her people are the same. They extort smaller communities for protection and force them to work with them on their terms. Now, I understand we don't exactly have a community that is as strong as others, but we do offer a very important, very unique strength to everyone around us. And I took this Tin 4 character at his word that at the end of the day, the rougher edges of this alliance of communities that is being formed out here was going to play nice. That said, I've seen things, Achira, that make me firmly believe that the Citadel isn't going to play nice, no matter what happens. And in fact, I believe that they've been waiting for this to happen so that they could come and clean up, taking whatever they wanted, regardless of whether or not we agreed to it. So if we do survive and we make it onto the other side of this and we find whoever is still alive, they're going to want to keep me alive. I don't know that I'm going to let them.
Wait a second, Doc.
Achira, there's not much left, but from everything that I've seen, if this is going to work, I'm not going to do it under their thumb. I'm not going to give them that. And if they've orchestrated all of this so that this goes sideways the way that it has, I mean, who do you think brought that many of the dead upon us? Where do you think all of these Romeros came from? Do you think that that was a natural occurrence? When have you seen that happen?
I've never seen that happen in my life.
Exactly.
But then there was dynamite that went off within the community.
After the walls were swarmed, I was there. We were trying to shore it up. All of us were. We thought that the walls would hold, but not against that. Not against that many. I'm telling you, and I didn't have time to say it before, so you'll have to forgive me. I don't trust them. I'm willing to help Lampwick if Lampwick is still alive. But regardless of what happens, if you're with me, you're with me. And that means the Citadel is going to try to sway you. And I have to know that no matter what, you're going to fight with me until this is over.
Well, I don't play well with big corporations. I prefer to stay independent, more indie. So it sounds like that's what you're offering me. And I really don't like the fact that when we came into this community, then we were swarmed by all of these Romeros. This is all above my pay grade. This is not what I do. I
You
stick
cut
to the
through your
shadows.
bonds.
I stick to the shadows. I scout. I'm a good shot. I mean, look at you pointing that my own rifle at me. Doc, you got me tied up. What are you doing right now? And at this point, then she's going to have grabbed her hand scythe in one of her hands.
Mm-hmm.
Still has it behind her back.
Okay.
How am I supposed to trust anything when you've got my own gun pointed at me with me trussed up on the ground? Like I do.
This is how it works. I don't want this any more than you do. We're going through the tunnels. We're going to find out who's left. Once we save the rest of my people, I'm open. I'm open to negotiating. You want medicine, we'll work it out. You want to know what I know? I can teach people, but only if we make it through and those sons of bitches from the Citadel are left out of it. They did this, and I'm not going to let them get away with it. There are all kinds of stories out there. Look, you're old enough. You remember, right? What the world used to be like?
Yeah, I remember it real well.
So do I.
I miss it.
Yeah.
Even after all these years, I miss it. I miss being able to turn on a TV. I miss just electricity everywhere. I miss Dairy Queen. Remember Dairy Queen?
I couldn't stand it anymore. I was a pediatrician. But when I saw what was happening to everyone, the smallest cut could take someone down. People were trying to perform surgeries on themselves. We found one with the scalpel still inside of them. Their intestines strung out behind them as they roamed around in a hospital gown. They'd done it to themselves. No, I don't miss Dairy Queen. I miss sanity. Look, we can work together. But I have to know that you aren't going to fall in with their line.
I don't have proof that they did this, but I also, like I said, I'm a rag and boner. I go I go along Enders. Literally, the only reason I'm here is because it's trading oranges because you needed those for you to do with what you are. Citadel, I don't give a flip about them. I care about survival. I care about my crew. And I care about skill sets. You have a skill set that I haven't seen, and that is important to me. So that's what I can give you. You can trust that. I don't like big business and I hate big military. And I've got my own reasons for that, and that's a story for another time.
Every one of us that dies by a bite from the flu every year, from stepping on a rusty nail or not having somebody to care for it, you know, the sane world that we remember, it just keeps disappearing. Now there's just a pile of VHS and old magazines and a couple of compact discs. That's it. That's all that remains of what was. She sighs and sets the gun down, and she kind of holds her head in her hand and takes her eyes off of you. What do you do?
Achira slowly gets her feet underneath her and moves on her knees and just keeps her hands behind her back, still gripping the hand scythe while she's like looking at the doctor. It's best if we don't just stay here. Can you at least untie my feet? And I don't like staying in one place too long.
Yes, I wasn't planning on keeping you tied up. She pulls the knife out, sets your gun down, and starts to walk towards your feet. She leans down and begins to cut the knot. What do you do?
While her attention's on that and she's cutting the knot, Achira is going to gripping her wrist off to the side, show the doctor that she has the hand scythe and that she's already free, and is then gonna do it a little twirl, put it back into the back of her pants, and then step back from the doctor.
She stands back, holding the knife, and looks at the gun.
Achira grabs her gun.
Well, if you're going to grab the gun before she grabs it, you're going to have to make a roll.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's let it be... I think we make this a composure roll, as both of you are leaping down, trying to outdo one another. Does that sound fair?
Sure. But keeping in mind that Achira showed the scythe and then put it away.
Okay, I'm not going to give you any disadvantages or anything like that. It's just a straight roll. We're just going to see who rolls better.
Got 2 successes.
You've rolled better than the doctor, and as the doctor kind of leaps into the dirt to try to grab the gun first, you manage to grab it and raise it up, and she looks at you.
I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you to keep your knife. Sounds fair?
I guess it's going to have to be. She turns and starts gathering up some things. She lights a lantern, turns to you. This way.
If it is too dangerous to go into the secret way, then a compromise needs to be that we get some others with us to then go down there. It doesn't have to be Rowan, but we need someone. You agree on that?
Others will be down here. If they're not from my group, from Grey Ridge, they'll be from the others trying to take what we have, trying to salvage what's left. But yes, I agree, Achira.
Just you gotta know when to cut and run, Doc. That's all I'm saying.
You know, I miss movie theater popcorn with that horrible orange butter.
It was the worst. You actually had to sprinkle your own salt on it.
But
like it's like trash buckets.
I would give anything for that right now. Come on. The two of you continue to walk down the long corridors. Rowan, I need you to make a spot listen check. Your lighter flickers and then plunges you, Philippe, and Lampwick into total darkness. Excellent. Just as it begins to dim, you see a glint of rusty metal on one of the posts ahead of you, and it almost dies out before you spot a lantern hanging on this post further down. What do you do?
I'm gonna go for the lantern.
All right. As you grab onto the lantern and light it, you hear in the distance gunfire and screaming deeper in the tunnels.
Hey, Phil, you hear that shit?
Yeah, I hear. Yeah. What the fuck is that?
Whew. Looks like
No. Not that. Listen. And then as you crane your neck to hear, children of the valley, walking hand in hand. Oh, children of the valley, walking. Is that fucking singing?
If so, that is the creepiest fucking shit I've ever heard.
The lantern, now blazing before you, shows a network of tunnels that split off in all directions. Lampwick begins to grow cold and shiver, and he becomes very, very pale. In this light, you can see he isn't going to last very long. Juniper, something has begun running after you. The children, screaming, have run further down the corridor. The massive braces are on either side now. The darkness is around you. You have a lantern in your hand. Stack turns and has a rifle that he's leveling in the general direction of whatever that sound is. Juniper!
Oh, that's bad.
Come to me, my child. Further down, you hear it clearly. Something is coming up the passage behind you. What do you wish to do?
I'm going to throw my oil lantern, like down behind us, so that it just lights the whole thing up and hopefully makes it slightly impassable. If I roll super good, we could knock a couple additional oil lanterns down there to make the fire bigger.
Well, okay, you don't have the pack, so you just have that one lantern, and
Yeah.
it is your only light source at this moment. So you want to throw it down the corridor. Do I understand this correctly? I mean, by all means, do what you want, but I want you to be clear that you'll have to light another lantern. And currently, Stack has the pack with the lantern oil.
All right. Well, I put the lantern down gingerly next to me. I take my bow and arrow, and I set my sights to the back of us where the sound is coming from. I yell at the kids, "Hey, we're are they like just? I can't see them anymore. Are they far in
As
front
soon
of
as
us?"
you say that, a gunshot rings out, and you hear a ricochet across the top of the cavern. I told you not to give me the gun! And the loud blast echoes all around you, and everything for a moment grows very, very quiet. And then you hear the sound of running directly towards you in the dark. And you see from the lantern light that is on the ground the silhouette of Abigail as she leaps towards you. And that is where we're going to end our session tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and I would like to thank you, our audience, for sharing in this story. Tonight we have revealed some new truths. Please join us next session as we explore more. Have a good night.